Welcome, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time for a different kind of idea. So we're gonna watch all the Marvel movies in chronological order, and you can follow along too if you want, because we all have access to these movies. Yeah, it's just like what do we think of them, and what do we think after the movie, and we'll go with that. The majority of these movies, I only saw them in theaters and didn't really see them again later. Maybe one or two more times, but that's about it. So the first one is Iron Man, the original Iron Man that came out in 2008, and it's over 10 years since I've seen that movie because I only saw it in theaters. That was it. So it's going to be very interesting to see it again, just see what I think after all these years, and really that's what I think is fascinating. And it'd be interesting to hear what y'all think before you see the movie again as well, if you see it, and what you think after. Because the thing to keep in mind is that this is the one that exploded everything. This is what made everything happen. If this didn't succeed, we would not have, of course, what we have. It's so crazy how much it blew up. Especially considering things like it's 2008. Superhero movies have always been they've always just been middling, but nothing really major. And then Iron Man blows things up. Well, Batman. Batman's always been a big success, but it's really just been them and Spider-Man, and that's it. And then, bam, this one just blows up the whole franchise. It had Robert Downey Jr., which nobody believed in anymore. He had a fall from grace. And then Jon Favreau directing, he's always been known as an actor by this point. And this blew up both their careers, so it's huge. And we just had like a couple of questions here, like, what did we think of the movie before when we saw it, and what do we expect if we're gonna like it now? And I don't remember too much. Like I remember vaguely parts of the movie. I remember liking Tony Stark and everything, and just liking the movie. So I expect to still like the movie, I would think. But after all this time, we'll see. Especially just how Tony Stark is now. Another question is, what's the Stan Lee cameo? Now, without looking it up, do you remember the Stan Lee cameo? And I don't. I remember the Iron Man 2 cameo. I don't remember the Iron Man 3 cameo, but I don't remember the Iron Man 1 cameo either, and I'm trying to remember it, and I cannot remember it. Neither can Jinx. Jinx can't remember it either. One thing, though, I'm interested is, how good is the special effects to the present? Like, will it look bad, or is it still going to look fine? Because, as special effects go up and up and up, you notice things more, I think. So, I'm curious about that. And last thing is just quick synopsis of the movie. What we got for this one is, Tony Stark realizes he's been a jerk, so he tries to change his ways. Then encounters an even bigger jerk. Then solves all his problems in his own jerk way. Which is very accurate. So we're going to go ahead and watch the movie, and then we'll see what we think after. Alright, so we just saw the movie, and it's good. It's still good. I liked it. Like, it's good. Okay, saying more than that, I like, of course, it's really important that Tony Stark's really good. But it's him carrying it, right? Robert Downey Jr. carries it a lot, but the other characters help out as well. Pepper Potts is good. It's mostly just him and Pepper and then Obadiah. Like, those are the main people. And it's just a whole lot of support after that. And this is, of course, the first villain. This is the first villain, and it's interesting to think about how the villains are going to be from this point forward, and how some are going to be great, some aren't going to be as good. But the justification I always get is when it comes to the origin stories, it's got to focus on the main guy more than anyone else. So you don't really want to have, like, the biggest villain be the first one they deal with. And so, like, learning about Tony Stark and everything in this movie, I think it's pretty good to have a lesser villain like the Ironmonger, although he's probably a major villain in the comics, actually, now that I think about it. But in this context, it's fine, and it's so interesting just seeing how this is the introduction to Marvel and everything. Like, it's, like, you see the seeds they're planting from this to maybe other things? Because they mentioned the 10 rings, and you're like, okay, oh, Mandarin. You thinking Mandarin there, and then you've got S.H.I.E.L.D. there with Coulson, who says S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of the movie, because earlier, which I forgot, is him spelling out the whole acronym. I forgot all about that. And just, like, little things like that are threads for what might happen later on with the movie. And just things I forgot. I forgot Jarvis. I somehow forgot Jarvis was in this thing. Like, when we actually see the guy who plays Jarvis, I was like, oh hey, that's what he looks like. Okay, cool. And it's a couple years later, I forgot that he's in the first movie. So it's cool to see Jarvis, and it's An interesting thing is the two roadies is the roadie in the first movie compared to Don Cheadle's roadie. Because, like, in this one, he's very much like how Rhodey is in the comics. Like, he's definitely Tony Stark's long suffering friend who also tries to keep him in line and everything. While Don Cheadle's version is he made it his own character. He definitely made Rhodey his own character. So it's interesting to just remember that it's a different guy and what happened there, and just with the later moves with Don Cheadle. It's just fun seeing Coulson. It's too bad he died in the first Avengers movie, but he had his own TV show and everything. But it was fun to see Coulson. He was a fun character. I'm really curious how the Avengers things would have gone if they didn't kill Coulson off when they did. I guess they wouldn't have had the TV show. And oh yeah, so the freaking Stan Lee scene. I remembered when I said before. I remembered for Iron Man 2. It's actually this one. It's because he's Hugh Hefner basically here. I'm like, oh okay. So I think I remember what the Iron Man 2 one is, where Tony just randomly walks into him real quick, and then that's it. Like he's like, oh hey, I think he still says Hugh, and it's Stan Lee. Also, oh yeah, the CGI. CGI is not bad in a lot of parts, but it's really bad when you see Tony get suited up. I think that's like the worst part because it just doesn't look great when you actually have a human to reference it with it. But when it's on its own, it just looks really good. But when you see him with it, not so great there. I forgot about the Iron Man suit montage. That was a pretty fun, just whole scene going on there. And also, oh my god, I forgot about Pepper putting her hand into the arc reactor thing, taking the old one out and putting in the new one. Totally forgot about that, which that was a great scene. There's a lot of fun scenes totally forgot about. And it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, they're just moments. I'm like, okay, yeah, these are fun. I don't know how I forgot them. So right now, we've only seen the first movie. Right now, it's ranked number one. But as we go, we'll rank up all the other ones. The next one's, I think, the Hulk movie. So that'll be ranked number two and Iron Man number one. But okay, thinking about the whole thing. So we're at 21 movies with Captain Marvel. And I've never made the list itself. So just thinking, it's probably a top 10 movie because it's pretty good. It also carries just the weight of it being the first one. But it's just also just pretty good. It's very entertaining, and it's very much carried by Tony Stark. It's carried by Robert Downey Jr. and a little bit by Pepper Potts, by Gwyneth Paltrow, and a good amount of it's also carried by Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane. Like those three are the pillars of that movie, and it works out pretty well. There's certainly criticisms to be made with like the pacing of the movie and stuff, but overall it's a good movie, and it set everything off because it was good enough for it. And that last scene, like, I like that scene. That's something I, of course, remember. It's just that last scene was like, yeah, I'm Iron Man, and that's it. But the post-credit scene, though, like, they did post-credits since the first one, and it's just the Avengers Initiative. It's like, holy crap. Like, just imagine, like, back then, when you're first seeing the first Iron Man movie, and Nick Fury's there, and he's like, Iron Man Initiative, I mean, not Avengers Initiative. You're like, oh, snap, they're going for the whole thing, okay. Now, picture if this movie failed. Like, it'd be another one of those movies where they have a sequel, where they're saying they're going to do a sequel, but it never happens. Like, they must have had some confidence to have that set up, because it's Avengers, which means that's a bunch of different movies. But it worked out. It worked out. Yay for that. It also made me think about, because the first Marvel movie also had a twist to it. That was Obadiah Stane being the bad guy. And in many more movies, we're going to see these twists. Actually, I don't think there's a twist in Iron Man 2, is there? It's just the bad guy's the bad guy, and he's still the bad guy, and Hammer's helping him out. I don't think there's a twist in the second movie. Iron Man 3, of course, the twist is that twist. I think a lot of the movies have twists. I don't think every single movie does. I actually don't remember. Who remembers the Hulk movie that's coming up next? I at least remember the Stan Lee cameo, so that'd be good for that episode. But, yeah, good movie. Ranks number one right now. I think it's probably top 10 overall. We'll see how we feel as we go forward. But next one will be the Hulk movie with another person who gets changed, with Edward Norton, who becomes Mark Ruffalo. So there we go with that. So that is us watching the Marvel movies, the first one, and we'll get going through all of them. And just say what you think of the Iron Man movies. Like, it'd be cool if you watched them too and we see what you think, looking back and everything. That could be a lot of fun. But that right there is uh us watching Marvel movies. I have fun talking. I'll be fun watching and listening. That's what's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks, bye, and see you next time.